Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Member Johnson is absent tonight. Approval of the agenda. I don't see any changes. Is there anything, council? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the October 7th, 2020 regular meeting. You all receive them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 7th, 2020 regular meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council relating to something other than what's on the agenda? Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We will then go on to reports and presentations. Police Department monthly report. Joe?
Good evening, everybody. I got some of September's highlights here. Some of the bigger numbers. Parking violations, looks like we wrote 6 citations for various parking city ordinance violations. 18 personal assists, those could be anything from helping someone into the house to returning a piece of property. 92 business assists, most of those consist of still nightly and early mornings, we're still going to different businesses throughout town, physically getting out, checking doors and windows, walking around. So the night crew will get out and do that. We'll do a different area of town, different businesses every shift. So that's getting done by 2 officers a night. Handful of different agency assists throughout the area. 33 citizen contacts for the month. Those again are consisting of us getting out of the patrol car. If we see someone walking down an alley in the middle of the night or hanging out in the park, most of them are nighttime contacts. So we'll just get out, make contact, and see what's going on. As far as some of the dog stuff, after 5 p.m., after the street department's gone home, we respond to 10 dog at large calls. That doesn't include what Ben and the street department guys do during the day. It seems like the last several weeks again, we're getting more of those for some reason. I'm not sure why, but most of them we're finding them back home. We're getting them back home one way or another. 19 medical calls where we assisted the ambulance department. During those during our business checks, 3 open doors were found in September. If you look at the school contact, that's up to 37 with school. When school was rolling around, we'd make sure that we're in the schools morning, after school, and then sometime throughout the day we'll try to walk through too, so we'll make calls on that. If you look under the thefts, we had 5 thefts that I highlighted. Those thefts in particular were all the political sign reports. So we didn't ICR create calls for all of them. There's more of the ones that were there 3 or 4, something stolen in one place. But for the most part, a lot of the political sign thefts were just doing matter of information calls because the odds of us solving that crime are pretty much slim to none, to be honest with you. We are watching for it though. It's just that it happens quick. Then if you look there, there's about a couple hundred traffic stops. So total monthly 735, which is basically on par for the last couple of years, which is surprising. We ran pretty short staff in September. We're getting a little bit better now. We're still running a little short. So a lot of the shifts in September were, we had a lot of single covered shifts, which is not ideal, but we got through it. So, but we're getting back up to par here pretty quick.
Okay.
Questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I see we got 4 people that don't have a driver's license. Thank you.
Yep, so that's common running into that. I don't know if you look too at the back of the packet, if you have any questions regarding the new policy for the guidelines for identification procedures. States, basically what that's all about is, we kind of operated this way anyways, but the Minnesota Post Board said that we need to have a policy on it. So what we did was took their model policy, made some changes that to help us out, or that makes sense for us, took some stuff out, and then you'll have a copy of that in the back. It's just kind of basic police work 101. We just have a written policy for it.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Public Works Department, Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What we've been up to over the past month is the outdoor rink. We've done a little bit of work over there, upgraded some lights that were having some issues. We installed some new concrete entrance pads. The old ones were failing, and we're working on some new covered entrances that should be up and working before the season starts there. The airport hangar door that is installed with all necessary work being completed. Tom and John are very happy with how everything turned out, how it operates, and the additional clearance that they have for moving planes in. They used to have to drop some tails down, so they don't have to do that anymore, so that helps them out a bunch, and it's working good. Prep work for putting the ice in at the arena took several days for cleaning and board installation. Ice installation took place last week, and everything went well. The ice was ready for practice on Saturday the 17th. While we were working at the arena, 2 of the bathrooms received the new bathroom partitions downstairs. Installation went well, and they are a very nice upgrade from what was there. There are 2 bathrooms left to get upgraded upstairs, so we will be doing that in the coming weeks. Bathroom, splash pad, campground sprinkler systems, they were all blown out and winterized for the year. Docks were all pulled out at the campground, and the public access and the picnic tables are put away. The sweeper was running most days, picking up leaves and sand from the roadways. This week obviously kind of put a damper on that. Truck DOTs were completed the first week of October. Everything went good except for T8 has a few things that need to be repaired, which Ream is scheduled to start on at the end of this week. So they got to put a new spring on the rear end. Nothing too severe though. And then we did a final tar patching on with a couple loads of tar while the weather was nice the first week of October. And in the campground, we started running a new water line on 10 seasonal sites to put the valves in the proper spots on the back of the lots. And then also just correcting some pad issues that we had over the year from some of the new pads. So with this snow, we may not finish that this fall. It'll probably be next spring, but we did have intentions of working on that this week. And that leads me into receiving the first snowfall of the season. And to let you guys know, we did finally able to use that new snow pusher that we purchased in February. It is a huge time saver and worked extremely well. For comparison, the other equipment that we used on cul-de-sacs took about 20 minutes per cul-de-sac, and this machine was able to do each cul-de-sac in about 5 minutes. With wet, heavy snow, we had about 6 inches. It worked great in the parking lots and was able to do the entire airport on its own as well. So I'm very impressed with this so far, and I think it's a good addition to our operation.
Okay. Good. Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Ambulance Department?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here with the third quarter report for the ambulance. In July, we had 15 no loads, 5 advanced life support transfers, and then 27 basic life support transfers, and 35 medical or 911 calls, for a total of 82 runs and activities for the month of July. That compares to 86 last year in the same month and 52 10 years ago. And the total number of calls that were billed out is 66 for a total of $79,719. August, we had 17 no loads, 3 ALS transfers, and 17 BLS transfers, 49 medical calls, so we had a total of 86 runs or activities for the month. That compares to 85 for last year and 44 10 years ago. And of those 86, the total number that were billed out was 67 for a total of 81,323.20. In September, we had 10 no loads, 6 ALS transfers, and 20 BLS transfers, and 31 medical calls for a total of 67 runs or activities. That compares to 80 last year and 50 10 years ago for the same month. And of the 67 runs and activities, 57 were billed out for a total of 69,459.60. So total for the third quarter was over $230,000 billed out. So that's, we're staying up to pretty close to last year's numbers. We did have a lower this year because of the COVID. You know, we didn't have the West Union Parade, the Barley Days Parade, Sinclair Lewis Days, and you know, even for Sinclair Lewis Days activities like the hot dog eating contest and the 5K, which generates a run report for us. And then, of course, the Stearns County Fair, which, you know, we have the fair booth every day that generates a report, and then all the walk-ups that we get during the fair. So we didn't have those numbers, but we're still staying pretty busy on the service. I want to thank all the EMTs who continue to take call with us during this COVID pandemic. You know, we have a few that have been concerned over the months and aren't taking much for call with us. So the ones that do stand up and serve frontline during this pandemic are certainly appreciated. So just want to say that to them. Thank you. Mutual aid, we had responded into North Mutual, their primary service area. One time they requested us to come in and take a medical over by Osakis, and then we went to Alec with that patient, and Melrose went into their PSA once and took their patient to Melrose Hospital, and then we responded into Long Prairie's area. They had requested us for a crash with multiple injuries, and by the time we were en route, then they had another Long Prairie ambulance that was available, so they ended up canceling us on that one. Lucas was used 3 times in the third quarter, and then we had 1 transport back to an assisted living facility, which are billed out through the hospital with our contract with them. So, any questions for us?
Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. 6D, Challenge Park Committee Report.
Good evening. Mark's got the board here for a little easier visual for the camera. We also have, if you want to take a peek, let us know. We can bring the laminate copies up to you as well. So fundraising has been going really well, and our equipment manufacturer had an opportunity to apply for a grant. So we applied for the grant and received it. It's over $18,000. And in order to take advantage of that grant, the equipment needs to be purchased by the end of October. So if we could place a purchase, they would ship it. We would keep it obviously until the spring, and then installation would occur once the ground thaws and the weather cooperates. Then the Saxon Area Community Foundation, who has been a fiscal host of the fundraising dollars, could immediately give the money that is already in there once that has been paid and the invoice sent to the Community Foundation. They could cut a check for the roughly $150,000. There's a little more than that. And then in January, we get paid an installment again from Arvig, one of our donors, did it in 3 installments. CentraCare is doing installments as well. We also have several other corporate donors that their boards are meeting this month and next month to decide the amounts of their gifts, and then we have individual donors as well. So we're very confident that the complete amount will be raised. And then we can do, once that initial purchase is, we can do it quarterly, you know, whatever makes sense as far as the additional funds that come into the foundation for that purpose. I know we have Walmart's donations were directly donated to the city, so that is in the fund. I believe it's to the tune of $5,500. So that would be, I guess, our request is that we act on that purchase agreement so that we can take advantage of this over $18,000 grant, because that's significant, obviously, for the equipment.
Okay. I know it's an action item later on in the agenda tonight with most of that information, but that's good to hear it from the people that are doing that, so. Council have any questions? What's that?
Any visuals or anything like that?
No, I've got visuals at home. I don't know if the other council wants pictures of,
Can I see the laminate? I only saw what's in the packet.
Absolutely. So it's pictures of the different obstacles themselves, as well as the location between the splash pad and the existing skate park.
And the one
Okay.
thing you want to notice too is this has a 40-yard dash with it as well, a timed 40-yard dash.
And so this is taking over where the basketball court is currently?
right,
Okay.
Right along the splash pad.
yep.
We did meet with a local business owner who has also offered to do a split of some work for, gave us an estimate of the work to get the ground level and excavated, and then also donate half of that cost in kind. So that was really exciting to hear too, so.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to action items. Approve resolution 2020-86, approving the lot split for Moritz.
You say Leroy Moritz has applied for a minor subdivision of a parcel of land owned by him at 1128 10th Street South. The parcel to be divided into two parcels. Each will meet the minimum standards for a standalone parcel of land according to the zoning map. I did have the full survey on the second page of the staff report and then excerpts of it on the front along with a overlay with the aerial photo on it. This is a simple lot split, just taking one lot and making it into two. This is across Beltline Road from like the MnDOT facility to kind of get you, an idea of where that's looking at. So I have in front of you Resolution 2020-86, approving that minor subdivision.
Questions, concerns? This won't affect that easement for the road?
No, the easements will stay in place.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I'll be looking for a motion to approve resolution 2020-86, approving the minor subdivision.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve resolution 2020-87, approving the lot split, Swinghammer.
So Roger Stringhammer at 731 12th Street South has entered into an agreement with Nutrien Ag to sell a 10-foot by 106-foot sliver of property off the northwest corner of his parcel. If approved, this piece would be combined with the Nutrien Ag parent parcel and allow for proposed construction of a concrete containment storage area and access for tanks that they have out there on the site. I as well put the aerial and a close-up of the survey in your packet, as well as the full survey of the Schwinghammer lot. And I do have a copy of the resolution. What's different with this than the one you just did previously, the one previously creates two parcels. This one actually just realigns the property line by taking a piece off this parcel and adding it to the other one. So we're not having a standalone parcel. And that is in your packet on resolution 2020-87.
Questions, comments? Planning Commission did review all of this
Correct.
toward the end of August, and there was no issues. So. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2020-87, approving minor subdivision?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve ordinance 796, approving amendment to land use map.
This is the second part of the three parts for the Nutrien Ag and Schwinghammer proposal. Nutrien Ag has applied for a zoning map amendment to rezone all of its currently owned parcels to IC Industrial. They have purchased additional property over the years, and you can see by the zoning map that's in there, the existing, the gray, which is industrial, and the orange, which is RC, which is residential/commercial. They're proposing to rezone it all to the IC. The future land use map adopted as part of the comprehensive plan update also anticipates that all of the Nutrien Ag properties would be zoned RC, and that is the land use map, which is also in your packet. Because these changes move the property into a more restrictive district, a 4/5 majority of council members voting in favor must be achieved. And so that is by ordinance 796, amending the land use map, which takes all of the nutrient ag parcels as shown in your packet and makes them an IC commercial property, or industrial commercial property.
Questions? Comments? Once again, the planning commission had reviewed all this before, so. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 796, amending the land use map?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any other questions? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2020-88 approving variance nutrient ag.
This is the third part of this proposal with Nutrien Ag. They've requested a variance from the side yard setback requirement of 15 feet, and this is in that area where they just purchased the 10 feet from Schwinghammer. The request is to allow for a concrete pad to be constructed up to 0 from that side yard. This application is part of that 3-part application. They're proposing to pour the pad up to 0 feet to the newly established line. The purpose of the pad is for access for loading and unloading fertilizer from the tanks in the newly constructed containment structure. I do have that as resolution 2020-88 granting the variance. This as well had a public hearing at the Planning Commission in August. A couple things to point out is the Planning Commission found that granting it would not affect the public health because of the access and runoff control from the property, and the reason how that is achieved is that they're requiring a stormwater berm to be installed in that adjacent property that they own to collect all the sediment before it runs down Beltline Road, and then where it crosses Beltline Road over to the Fismus property. By putting this berm on the Nutrien Ag property, it'll prevent that sediment from going down there. So they'll be responsible for constructing the berm and maintaining that. So that was what the Planning Commission was requiring as part of this approval. So I have in front of you Resolution 2020-88, approving the request for the variance for Nutrien Ag Solutions.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-88?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2020-89 responding to detachment petition, Sherman.
So Jane Sherman at 42913 County Road 17. She's the owner of property, and it's highlighted in your map, but it's up at the northwest corner of the city between the Wobegon Trail and Ferry Lake Road. She's proposing to plat a portion of the farm homestead into 2 lots. Because part of the homestead crosses into the city limits, which on your map is pink, she's requesting that the city permit the detachment of 19.6 acres to allow for that plat to be approved in the county. I did include a copy of the preliminary plat in your packet. The Sauk Center Township has already gone through that and are recommending that it be approved, and they're proceeding through the process at Stearns County Planning and Zoning, where they'll be having a public hearing. The county is requiring that they count that this additional property is included in their plat for impervious coverage purposes. And I do have in your packet highlighted the portion of the property that would be detached from the city, and then also the aerial with the green dotted line that shows that parcel as well, so you can get a better visual of it. The Sauk Center Township has already met on the detachment, and they have filed a resolution in support. And I do have the resolution concerning the detachment in your packet, 2020-89. And I do have it in there as supports the petition for detachment of the following described property. And then if the council approves this, then it has to go to a law judge at municipal boundary adjustments before it can be made final.
Does anyone have any questions, concerns? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-89?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7F, approve CARES Act business relief payments, number 3.
So we have the third round of grant requests are recommended for approval. This is the final round of payments unless it were to be extended. In the first round, we granted out just under $117,000. The second round, just under $153,000, and this third round total is $25,051. This final payments are going to Mustang Bar, Titanium, which is Profusion, and the AB Salon and Massage. So totally, we've granted approximately $296,000 out to 39 businesses in Sauk Center. There were 3 businesses that were denied by the EDA because they were not qualified, and 1 business that applied but gave me no numbers, and we've been trying to get them and finally just had to kind of put it in a dead letter file because we can't get any response. So of all of the applications we got, there was 4 that did not get funded. So what we're looking today for is to approve round 3 of the CARES Act business relief payments.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve round 3 of the CARES Act business relief payments?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7G, approve sub-recipient agreement with Stearns County CARES Act, or grant.
So the city has been remitting the majority of the funds that we receive through the CARES Act distribution directly to the businesses, as you just voted on. The requests received, when coupled with the city's own reimbursement, have exceeded the total funds that the city received from the CARES Act. So the Stearns County Board of Directors has agreed to supplement the funding and provide the city with up to an additional $53,000 of its allocation. And as part of that, they are asking us to enter into a sub-recipient agreement, which outlines the expectations of the county. Basically, it says we're turning the money over to you. It's your responsibility for auditing and recording and presenting that back to your local auditor. So upon receipt of the agreement, the county will send the funding directly to the city in their next distribution date. So the total of the $343,100 that we received plus this $53,000 will be just under $400,000 that we have received through the CARES Act. So what we're asking today is to authorize the execution of the sub-recipient agreement with Stearns County.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to authorize the execution of sub-recipient agreement with Stearns County?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7H, approve resolution 2020-84 approving purchase of equipment challenge park.
So this agenda item would be the item that would officially approve the purchase and installation of the Challenge Park equipment that was presented by the committee. The cost of the equipment is $224,508.89 after the application of the $18,500 grant from Minnesota Wisconsin Playground. Additional costs will be installation, the relocation of the basketball court, site prep, the concrete border, and any work we have to do with site restoration or sprinkler system removal. So those are all costs of the city, or that are in addition to that $224,000. Funding has been secured through a variety of methods, including multiple grants and donations, as Brenda and Mark just spoke to you about. If the city approves the project, the next step is to pay the equipment costs and invoice the community foundation for those funds, which are currently held in a designated fund of the community foundation. The balance of costs would be incurred in the spring during construction and installation. So what this resolution in front of you today is to approve resolution 2020-84 authorizing the purchase of the equipment and acceptance of the grant.
Questions, comments?
Just a question, Brenda, if you can clarify, I heard a number of $150,000 earlier for equipment cost, and this is quoting it to $224.
That's the correct amount for the cost. That's, the 150 is like the first installment payment from the community foundation to the city.
Okay,
To cover that.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-84 authorizing the purchase of equipment and acceptance?
No, I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
Motion by Diane, second by Heidi. Any other questions? Call Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7I, set meeting date to canvass election results.
So after each election, where the city has a candidate or a ballot question, the council must certify the election results. It's also known as canvassing the results. The certification must occur within 10 days after the election. Election law changed for 2020, which includes ballots mailed and postmarked on election day. So in the past, you had to receive the ballot by election day. Now it has to be postmarked by election day. So that adds about 7 days that we have to wait before those ballots can be counted or come in. Then the 7th day falls on November 11th, which is Veterans Day. So then the county can't have, or we can't have public, or we can't have work on that day. So that means the county can't finalize the results till Thursday, November 12th, which gives us Friday the 13th as the only day that we will have the availability to canvass our results. So they changed the law to allow us to accept ballots up to 7 days later, but they didn't change the law about how soon we have to certify the results. So they have asked us if we can set the date as late on Friday as possible to get it, and then get it back to them. So they're talking like 2 or 3 in the afternoon to give them time to get us the information. So I guess what I'm doing here is just asking you to set a meeting date.
Our canvassing, like what we get our results to the county back to them on Friday, is that electronically, or do you physically have to drive down and do something?
No, it's electronic.
Okay.
So they're going to get to me all the results of all the absentee, and then we have to agree with those and then send that back.
And their end of business day is 5 o'clock on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with 3, 4 o'clock, whatever.
That's fine with me.
I can make whatever work.
Okay. What about you, Vicki? You're the one that's got to do the work.
I'm here. I can do either time. So 3 o'clock's fine.
3?
3 o'clock? Okay. General.
It's Friday the 13th. What can go wrong?
Oh, don't even. Don't go there.
She had to bring that
Yeah,
up.
right?
Yeah. Just general consensus, then
That's
November
fine.
13th at 3. 7J, approve resolution 2020-90 certifying assessment Elm Street South.
So on October 7th, the council meeting, we adopted the assessment roll for the 2020 street project. One owner objected to the assessment of the Elm Street South project due to various concerns and questions that he had, and then we did address those items to him, and I believe I copied you on the information that I'd sent to him as well. Now, he has responded to me late this afternoon, and he wants me to share his comments back with you at the meeting, so I told him that I would. On the issue of the sidewalk warranty, which is 2 years for a standard warranty for a project such as this, he just wants to make sure that there was an area of damage by expansion joints in front of his house, wanted to make sure those were on the punch list, which I did speak with Keith, and it is on the punch list for that. The second item was he talked about concerns about if he had to open the street in the future to hook up his sanitary. And we had said that the service stub is updated to the house side of the sidewalk. There would be no need to open the street. His concern is that if he gets a contractor that can't do it without opening the street. And I talked to Keith and he said, no, it can be done. There's no reason that you would need to open the street when the service stub is already new all the way onto your property. So, but I did tell him I would share that concern with you. He also doesn't feel that, he refers to the intersection, that he didn't request realignment of the intersection, nor did his neighbors. He felt that we made that as a last-minute decision and they're passing that cost on to them. And as you know, the street costs are 50% paid by the city and 50% assessed, and of that 50%, of course, it's half to each side of the street. So, and I did lay that out in the email to him, and he understands that, he just didn't really agree with it. And then he did have concerns about how the hydro seeding was done, because it was, he was explained to him that the first step is they go in and they do more of a rough top soil spreading, and then they come back and fine grade and seed, and he felt that the fine grading and seeding, the fine grading did not occur before the hydro seeding. And that was a concern of his. However, I did explain to him that we do have warranty issues and retainage, that we have all next summer to get that grass growing good on his property. And then number E, he had the questions on the payment of the assessments, how late he could pay it. He wants to make sure he has 30 days after council action to pay it, which is not going to be a problem. And then the final thing was his private line installation, that he felt that when he visited with our contractor back on June 10th, that those arrangements had been made, which they had not been made. It was more of a conversation, and of course we weren't there to know the conversation that happened between them. And at this point, there's, you know, it's water under the bridge by now. The work didn't get done because he hadn't hired anybody. We hadn't hired anybody on his behalf. I don't know if it was a misunderstanding. I don't know what happened out on site because the two of them were there and the city wasn't involved. So I did tell him that I would talk to you about all of these issues so that you understand that he was concerned. He still has some concerns on the project, and he wants to make sure we continue to work on it to make sure that they're all taken care of. But, so that was the one person that had objected to the assessment due to these concerns that he had. I think we've addressed most of them or explained most of them to him. And so I think we're, at this point, ready to adopt that assessment rule for that one last parcel for Elm Street South. Or 2 parcels, I guess it is. And those are over 10 years at 4%. And then also that he would be able to pay those up to 30 days here at City Hall without incurring any interest.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-90 certifying the special assessment on Elm Street South?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7K, approve assessment deferral, Elm Street South.
So we have, with the adoption of the assessments for the 2020 project, both tonight and last meeting, the option of deferring the assessment for various reasons was presented to the property owner. We do have 2 deferrals for approval. The first one is Jason Ebensteiner. He's on Elm Street North. He is requesting a deferral due to disability, and he did apply and meets all the qualifications for that deferral due to disability. And then Dana Boucher at Elm Street South, the west side, had requested, and you had discussed, deferral of the sanitary assessment until some type of development would occur. The disability deferral remains in effect until the property is no longer the homestead resident of the applicant. It could be 1 year, it could be 30 years, it doesn't matter. There's no interest as long as he maintains that as his primary residence. The development deferral remains in effect until one of 3 things happens: if the property is sold, if the property is hooked up to the sanitary sewer, or 10 years. So whichever comes first would trigger that sanitary sewer assessment, and which is $1,122. So what I'm looking for tonight is to approve the assessment deferrals as presented.
Any questions, comments?
Jason understands that this would be deferred to the next owner if he sells the house.
What happens is it becomes due and payable in a chunk at the time that they no longer homestead the property. So a lot of times, if the property goes into the hands of the children or whatever, then it becomes due. A lot of times they just sell the house and then it gets paid at closing.
Okay.
So it can't go on to the next owner. It just becomes due and payable.
Any other questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the assessment deferrals as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7L, approve eyewitness identification procedures.
The Sauk Center Police Department has protocols and procedures for conducting their work. And in front of you tonight, you have guidelines for eyewitness identification procedures, which Officer Jensen had spoke to you about earlier. What this policy does is it establishes guidelines for eyewitness identification. These procedures outline how they collect the evidence, how they maintain it, and this is more like how do you do a lineup, how do you do a photo array, so that all the officers are using the same procedure when they do that. So that's really what this is about for eyewitness when we're trying to get somebody to identify somebody, and that we do the procedure is the same across the board, everybody does the same protocol, and then it's much easier when you go to court that you followed the same procedure. So that is what we actually have been doing in the past, and now it's in writing. So what we're looking to do tonight is just approve this policy on eyewitness identification procedures.
Questions, concerns? Do Do I have a motion to approve the policy on eyewitness identification procedures?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Heidi, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Diane. Any other concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7M, approve resolution 2020-91, authorizing purchase of equipment.
So with the ongoing need for updating the council chamber's audio equipment and also requests that we live stream meetings and trainings, quotes were sought to the upgrade and expansion of our existing system, which we have here, which we've had for many years. Marco, who is the installer of our surveillance system, presented a proposal that will utilize and expand upon our existing one rather than purchase all new equipment. It was submitted with options for expansion in the future, which I gave you the entire proposal. And after talking with some other people that are in the field, we're recommending that we proceed with the base installation plus option 1, which includes a camera system which will allow for Zoom meetings and online streaming whenever needed. This project as well is eligible for CARES funding. So what would happen was there'd be like a ceiling mounted camera or something probably over in that area. So probably not council meetings, because this works really well for council meetings, but if we have other types of meetings, if the police have training, anything else that happens in there, we would be able to do that live stream. So, and then also the system would have the ability to record directly onto like a USB or record onto a laptop. And then in the future, if the city ever wanted to do it, it's all set up and ready to go. If we put one of those big TVs in or smart boards where you have everybody in a Zoom meeting and you're in a meeting, or it's just kind of preparing for the future. It does look like a lot of money because it's not just we're going to use our same microphones. It just has more to do with the technology of getting it updated and ready for the future. So I said I would bring it to the city council and have you discuss it to see if whether this is something you thought that we should proceed with. And then I did give you all the options in the future. In the future, we could do touchscreen control and bring things up on laptops on the screen. So there's a lot of technology out there, and we are kind of falling behind on that with this building, with the system that we do have. It has worked for now, but it's becoming rapidly outdated.
Questions, comments?
I think it's a good idea. Never do you want to be the last one to jump on a bandwagon of technology. If we can give the public the information that they need when we have access to it, then why not? And also that availability of CARES funding to cover the cost eases the hurt of it.
I think we're going to have to do it eventually, one way or the other. We may as well do it now and get her done.
The one thing is with the CARES funding available to cover the costs, I think that's the main thing.
You bet.
You know, the advancement of technology, we can update it in 6 months from now, it's gonna be outdated already. But, you know, it's moving that fast, but at least we won't be generations behind.
Well, and I think too, making that decision to just do the option 1 and not do the full-on extra HD when it's absolutely necessary, then we have probably even more options and less expense because of how technology works.
True. Well, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-91?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other comments? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, labor agreement negotiations.
So unfinished business on labor negotiations, we were supposed to meet on the 12th, and which I was going to report whether we had a positive result or not, but the Teamsters representative got quarantined, so we didn't have our meeting. So we'll still have that, and I've talked to different representatives, and I think we're really close. It's just a matter of getting back together. In fact, we actually talked today about perhaps doing a Zoom meeting so that we can get together and get it taken care of and wrapped up. We don't have to do it till December 31st to get it done, but it's sure nice to get it done ahead of time. So I'll let you know when it's time for a meeting and if we are successful.
Okay. We have no new business. That then brings us to our consent agenda. We have a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $60,842.41, paid claims of $8,432.50, for a total of $69,274.91. September checks paid, which is paid claims / payroll, of $850,536.97. We have resolution number 2020-92, accepting contributions from Sauk Center Larks for $250 to be allocated to the police department. I want to thank the Sauk Center Larks for that contribution on behalf of the city. We also have gambling application for exempt permit request from Holy Family School for a raffle on December 16th, 2020 at the Holy Family School. Is there any questions about the consent calendar? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Informational items.
I have a couple things. Elections, you know, are November 3rd here at City Hall, and our early voting starts Tuesday, October 27th. So any city residents can come into City Hall starting October 27th and vote in person, put their ballot in the machine. And the other informational item is I skipped right over the city engineer, Keith Yap. I don't know if you have any questions for him or not. I know the project is kind of wrapped up for the year, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask if you had anything to add.
I don't have anything to report, but happily any questions.
Okay. Council have any questions?
I don't have any.
I guess not. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.